sent you that notification. So let's go into the session for today, basically. Sorry, I'm going to just take off my camera, and you're free to do that if you want. So I'm always very passionate about this course because this course was a turning point in my career. I remember having an interview with EY Island when I was in Nigeria. And after going through all the phases of that interview, I had to meet a partner. And this was one of the reasons why I think, because the feedback was more like it. The feedback was around, oh, you have the technical skills, oh, you understand the system, you understand you have your way around the system, you have your way around some technical stuff. However, we have issues with you around um, projects, right? And this rule is a rule that cuts across um, systems, processes, and people. So for that reason, I'm sorry we won't be able to offer you this, that was the last phase, my discussion with the partner and the feedback I got. So that actually prompted me some years back to go back and did some studies, got my IBA certification. We'll see that as we go on. And basically, I am working right now as a senior business analyst with a firm in the UK. And it's been a journey so far. So I'm hoping that we will all share experiences as we move. It's a very, very open class. Um, as the slide goes, we'll have pauses for questions, for ideas. It will be very interactive. Like I always say, the teacher is also a learner, right? We are all joining from different backgrounds. We're all joining from different walks of life. We're all joining from different experiences. So if we all bring our experiences on the table and share them according to our thoughts, we are all going to be learning. And for me, that's the hallmark of every training, right? The ability to hear others, the ability to let people share their experiences, because um, you can go 5 years ahead from just hearing someone's experience now. That's why they always say experience is the best teacher, because it can help you arrive 5 years earlier in your journey if someone who has experience actually shares with you. And that's basically the role of elders. That's, of course, there's an adage in Africa that says, what an elder sees sitting down, even if you climb a tall mountain, you will not. That adage is basically talking about the experience. So I value people's experience. No experience or no idea or no answer is wrong. It's part of what we're going to be seeing as we move on. It's BA is a session that will transform you as a person, because by the time we start looking at a lot of things around this, you would see that business analysis is not it's something you have probably been doing. It's something that you could also apply in your personal life, and it's a very, very interesting course, and would see that as at the course of the day. I remember um, in one of our classes, I got a feedback. There was we talked about the principles of the five hats, and somebody went to the office and actually tried to implement that. And his feedback was awesome, because he was always having issues with a particular colleague, and he learned that in BA, one of the ways of handling of solving problems is the ability to change your hats at every point in time. So he told me, yeah, he removed the black hat and wore the green hat. It might be sounding like, oh, what is this saying? Yeah, it's part of the things we're going to learn, that even when you have issues or when you're trying to problem solve, there is need to change your hats. But I won't be able to explain that in details. If you stay long enough, then it's something you're going to appreciate as we move on. So welcome everybody. Um, so we'll just take off. For those joining, the rules are simple. Please mute your mic, use the chat box, and when there are time for questions, please unmute your mic and share your questions if you need to share, or just drop them in the chat. Okay. And this session is for 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. So we're actually going to be staying for about 2-3 hours. And some of the upcoming trainings we have a lot of training sessions. We're looking at the things around SAP. We're looking at some technical training for functional consultants. We're looking at the internship program. So there's a lot, but as you um, one of the things of connecting now is you will always have the opportunity to reach out and ask more questions about our training sessions. So you're welcome. We're excited that you have joined. And for a lot of people, this is a journey. So, the essence of this is to equip you with the skills and knowledge you need to become an asset in today's dynamic business, landscape and environment. BA is a rapidly growing field, offering a wide range of exciting opportunities. I think business analysis on LinkedIn would be, maybe because it's my field, but I think it's one of the most um, sought after role and one of the most advertised role on LinkedIn right now. We'll have opportunity of jumping into the job market and see how the job market is doing. And some people, your mind is like, what's business analyst and all that. So we're coming into that basically, but we're happy to have you in this session. Of course, some of the rules we're going to have is please, as much as possible, be respectful, be kind in your comments. Um, for those who are already in the WhatsApp group, it's also important you connect with each other, you share your ideas. Of course, as we go on, there'll be need because we would have team assignments, so there'll be need for you to connect with each other because, like I said, it's going to be very hands-on and a practical exercise. But there are times where you need to work as a team to deliver on a particular task. So please, um, when that time comes, you need to also connect with each other. Support your team, participate fully, and of course, you need to have a pen and a paper with you. If you don't have, please, you need to basically bring one by your side. And as we move on, those you need to write down your thoughts. Yeah, I've met and greeted everyone. So I'm going to check the chat again. Okay, so one of the rules is please, if you just joined, just tell us your name and where you're joining from, and I'm going to read that as we move on. So thank you, everyone. Okay, so about me, basically, most of you already know me. Most of you have probably seen this chat in different groups, maybe LinkedIn, maybe Facebook, maybe WhatsApp, and all that. But it's very important to also introduce myself. My name is Kelechi Kelly Adiele. I am, well, I've been in this business for over 10 years. My background is in finance. Um, I have, by privilege, been involved in a lot of transformation projects. You know, please, can you mute your mic? Who is that? Thank you. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I've been involved in a lot of transformational projects around the world. Very recently, I'm in one of the largest dynamics finance projects in the world right now. I'm going over, um, you know, I think this project is basically in all the continents. Um, so it's been an honor to learn from different cultures, learn from different implementation strategies, um, been involved in a lot been involved in a lot of localizations and rollouts in different countries. Well, the rest is there for certifications. Yeah, I'm also I'm a sucker for personal development. So as much as possible, I try to recertify my skills and get that running. So it's something you might want to also pick up as we move on. So it's nice, basically meeting all of you. Um, yeah, so you can connect with me. I have a YouTube channel that is doing very well. We have over 2,000 subscribers. I have a lot of information there that can help you on your journey. Um, for those who are in the ERP space and who understands SAP and all those other ERPs, you need to connect to that channel and help yourself out with learnings. Also for business analysis, we have a lot of training online for our YouTube channel. Please feel free to connect, subscribe, and help yourself out with learning. Of course, you can also connect with me on LinkedIn, which is quite a channel I'm very active in, and we can always have those discussions later. Okay, um, this is the most favorite part of the most favorite quote I have, and it's been a guiding force for my life. And it's helped me to always remember that um, personal development and the need to always upskill, always follow through with trends, and always update myself with relevant information is the fear of this. Yeah. Now, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write. Of course, even in a lot of countries now, education is like a big deal. Everybody, is going to school, and in some countries, your basic first level, like your bachelor's, is like everybody has it. Masters is now like a very popular thing. So it will not be people who cannot read and write. Basically, it will not be that. Now, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. That will be the illiterates of the 21st century. So we have passed the level of those that did not go to school. Actually, among the educated people, we're going to still have illiterates. And that's a fear that always stays in my heart, that I don't want to come to a point where I am, in quotes, outdated, right? And most of us, you know, most people are actually outdated. They are educated, but they're outdated. So we have outdated, educated people. It sounds very ironical, but that's actually what we are seeing in this century, right? You have people, there is so much information in the world right now. There's so much information to be anything you want to be, right? There's so much. Like I've just announced, I have a YouTube channel that has basically all you need to know to kickstart. There are a lot of channels, there are a lot of free this, free that. The internet is People are sharing a lot of information in this time and age, but it's shocking that still we're going to have people who are outdated. How? It's just that either, of course, a thing of interest, or people are just comfortable with where they are, or you mean, I don't know, maybe lack of information. A lot of factors can poverty, a lot of factors can actually cause this issue, right? But yeah, that's basically the truth, right? That in the next 10 years, the change that is happening in especially the IT space right now is so massive and so fast that even myself, sometimes there's things are changing very fast, and because there are also demands in our individual lives. There are family demands, there are demands from society, there are demands from every corner. It's now prioritizing upskilling and prioritizing personal development has to come from a conscious, very, very conscious effort. For example, you that have joined this course, you have made an effort, but I know it didn't come cheaply. Some people had to move some appointments, some people had to restructure their day, but that's actually what it would take now. That's what it takes now for you to be able to really gain knowledge, because there's just a lot happening and you have to actually still make sure you're updated, right? So it's something we need to keep at the back of our minds. The problem is not access to information. There are a lot of information. The challenge is, like I said, a lot of factors. Funds is also a factor because some of these trainings do not come cheap. However, there are some that are still available that you can start from or start with. But yeah, these are all the factors. But as much as possible, have this at the back of your mind that um, as time goes on, and some people will be left out. And of course, when we start talking about things about, AI and all this, and big machine learning, deep learning, Python, and all these very, very updated information, you see that some people are not even interested in what is happening in the world. Some people are AI is just it's a hype and all that. But I mean that's how people treat information. But some people have taken it as a point of view to actually go into the internet and know what this thing is. Sometimes I have conversations and people are just the argument is you could actually see that people just want to argue. They don't want to know you know they just display their ignorance, but they feel they know. What will it take you to go to the internet and actually read and have that information and follow that trend so that you can be well informed in whatever you're saying? But that's basically what it feels like, and it's just a way of seeing what this comment says, that indeed those who are not willing to learn, those who are not willing to relearn and unlearn will have issues in this century. And it's obviously showing some of, if you're not constantly learning, then you will be pushed out. The competition is very, very, tight up there. And if you're not very well upskilled, then you would have an issue actually sitting in the space where we are right now. So please take this to heart and um, work on it. So yeah, for this course, congratulations. Your journey starts here. We're going to see and start learning about the basics of business analysis and what it means for us and how we can actually leverage on this skill and career. So I have a question for the house, and of course, we're going to do this for the next 5-10 minutes. The question is to everybody, so you can raise your hand. The numbering on the screen will tell me who is first and who is second. I just want to hear, like I said, right? I'm not looking for definition. I'm not looking for your definition. I just want to hear from what you have heard, if you have heard about business analysis, or from what you can think out from the two words. What do you think business analysis is all about? So this is an open session. Just raise your hand. Feel free. Like I said, there is no unreasonable answer. We really want to hear your thoughts, right? So please, when you hear the word business analysis, what do you think? I expect basically all of us to participate as much as possible. Or else, maybe I'll start basically calling names. So when you hear the word business analysis, what comes to your mind? Business and analysis. What comes to your mind? Yes, go ahead, Chori. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kelechi, for the opportunity.
Sure.
So I do not already have experience on business analysis, but I'm trying to combine the two words, business
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm,
analysis, right? So
mm-hmm.
we understand that business is like any activity, right, that
Okay,
creates value
okay,
for people, right, and in
okay,
return for money. So
okay.
so combining the two words, business analysis, I would want to think that it means looking at the various aspects of a business and
Mm-hmm.
trying to make use of data that the business has to generate
Mm,
um, meaningful kind of presentation, or to generate meaningful outcome that
okay,
could be of value to various
okay.
stakeholders, which will
Ah,
comprise the owners of the business, the client,
okay.
the supplier. So I think it covers a lot. It has to do with using what
Mm,
the business has to achieve
mm,
an objective
mm,
or to add
mm.
a value.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Any other person? I'd really love to hear. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Jules.
Okay, hi everybody. I think a little bit of what he said, what the guy that just spoke now said, but my own understanding is also it has to do with identifying what a business needs and whatever processes or procedures are used to um find solutions for a business, basically. So identifying its needs and helping it to find solutions for whatever business problems we have.
Mm, awesome. Solution and need. Thank you very much. John, okay, sorry, let me just check. Number three is John. Thank you.
Okay.
John, please go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, Kelechi, for this opportunity. Business analysis is simply the practice of enabling changes in an organizational context,
Okay,
identifying or define needs and
okay,
identifying solutions
okay.
to meet those needs so that you can have at the end of the day a robust or desired result for the business.
Awesome,
Right,
awesome,
yes. Yeah.
awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys. These were very, very insightful definitions. Um, if you have any, you can drop them on your chat and I'll pick them up. Yep. Thank you, Yam Fact from joining from France. Thank you, Aurelie from joining from France. Thanks, guys. Yeah. So back to the conversation. I mean, these were very, very, very good responses, right? Um, and I mean, all the definitions were very interesting. Chori made very, I think he first of all defined business as an activity that drives value. I mean, he talked about using the, data from the business to actually make key decisions. And of course, meaningful decisions, deriving value, stakeholders, and of course, making sure that those who are in the business are informed. Um, okay. Rose talked about driving, solving need, identifying needs, and providing solutions. John talked about enabling change, need, outcome, and solutions. I mean, these were very, 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 very wonderful responses, and I appreciate you guys. Um, I think basically you all got it right. I'm just going to say all of you are right, from what the definition of BA is. And I'll give you an example to explain this, right? And I'll just come from a very layman's, angle because some of us are still new to this course or class. Now, just take for example, this is how my class goes. Basically, I just try to brainstorm as you brainstorm and also just share my thoughts. So my thoughts are that now take a business, for example. Let me give you a scenario. Um, so in your neighborhood, I'll give you an example. In your neighborhood, there has been this demand for a barbing salon. So, so let's say, for example, myself, it takes me. I've been going out to barb my hair or to cut my hair, and I've realized that it takes me about 30 minutes. It takes a 30 minutes walk. If I have to use a cab, it will take probably 5 minutes, and I have to pay like £5. And one day, because of this, I went to barb my hair and I had to also wait because there were a lot of people. So averagely, it takes me around 2 hours to cut my hair, going and coming back. So one day I sit in my house and I said, and of course, I've been thinking about, something to do. And I asked myself, right? So I come out and I look at the whole environment. I'm like, so I just realized that there was no barbing salon within my vicinity. What have I done? I've identified that there is a need. I've identified that within my environment, ideally, there is no barbing salon. And I've also analyzed that the time it takes to barb and return and the cost, I have put all that in my mind. So what do? I was like, okay, so I pick interest in these, in this very brief or shallow analysis I've done in my mind, and I'm like, okay, I think I would like to I would like to open a barbing salon, right? So first, I have identified a need, have done in my mind, I have done an analysis of the cost, the time, and of course, other factors. And I've now taken the first decision of opening a barbing salon. Okay, I want to open a barbing salon. Fine. So the next thing is ask myself, how much will it actually cost to open a barbing salon? So I've asked myself about the cost. Now, is it just about cost? Are there other factors that would impede my opening a barbing salon? So what do I do? First of all, I need to do a visibility study, right? I need to say, okay, what will it take? What are the requirements? What are the requirements, both legal and business-wise, will it take for me to open a barbing salon? First of all, if you're somewhere in the UK, you need to go to the council, ask about, what are the legal requirements around having a business first, and specifically a barbing salon. What are the other costs that are involved? What are the expectations from the community? You have to get all that information. Next is, finally, I've gotten all the information. I've gotten a lawyer to also support with that. The next question is, how much will it take? So hopefully I have to come up with a budget, let's say of around £50,000 to get a nice salon. The question is, when I say nice, there's now a factor of what's the quality you want to, what kind of service do you want to offer in that barbing salon, right? That is a factor of a lot of there's a lot of factors to that. But let's say you want to make sure everything is within a budget of 50,000. Now, you have had all these visibility studies, probably written them down somewhere. I'm talking about a normal practical business person who is not using a professional to do this. So you've written all that down. Then the next step is you have to now, after writing that, you have to basically decide. So having gotten all this information, can I do this? Is it a go or no go? Okay, I think my personal income is fine. I will get support from family. So yeah, let's venture into this. So you make a decision and you want to venture into this. For me to venture into this, who do I need to work with? Okay, to do this, I need to look for a certain group of people who we call your stakeholders, right? I need the government. I need of course, well, I need to identify a landlord. I need to identify an electrician, a plumber, every single person who is going to help me achieve this goal. I need to identify them, and at every phase in the project, I need to also involve them. Now, first things first, you need to get a property. You rent a property. When you got in there, of course, you've paid, you've signed the contract, so that is done. When you get in there, the place is all messed up. You identify another stakeholder, probably get a cleaner to do the first cleaning. You get an electrician to wire the place. You get a plumber to make sure the toilet within the facility is good. You get, we get the government to make sure you have all the relevant permits, within that environment. And at the end of the day, you need one more set of stakeholders that would actually make this dream a success, which is your customers. Now you're thinking, how do I now reach out to people? Since I have gotten to this point, how do I reach out to people to actually come patronize me? So of course you have to engage, sometimes you have to do an advert outside the shop, or you need to drop handbills around, and voila, you have your opening day and you have your first client. And it doesn't end there. You have to now move to another phase where you have to manage these people who are now your stakeholders. You have to manage the landlord every year. You have to manage your customers, especially when they have complaints about the clipper being too sharp, or you coming out late or something else, or the place being too hot. You have to manage to make sure that those who are parking in your environment have the relevant permit. Then that it keeps going and going on, until hopefully other things, you get to a point where that becomes a business as usual, what we call a BAU. Now, this is just a typical scenario. Now, in the life, everything I've explained is the person in the middle of all these things. In a more broader sense, is a person we call the business analyst. So I gave you a scenario of what business analysis is, because I have identified a need. I've identified those who would help me, meet up with this need. I've identified the value in this need. I have identified all the stakeholders that will be involved. I have, immediately I open that shop and I get my first customer, I have enabled change. So I have solved that problem. I've created a solution for the problem I identified earlier. So right now, people within the vicinity don't need to drive for 10 minutes or walk for 30 minutes before they find a salon. That's how businesses are created. But in an IT environment, there are sets of people. There is a person who is responsible for driving this whole thing. So in a large organization, it could be that they want to change their ERP system. It could be they want to open a new branch. It could be, they want to expand operations. This small example I just gave is basically they're actually going to go through the same process, but in a much more organized and big manner. And the person who will be at the center of all this is the people we call the BAs. But we'll see much as we move on. We're going to actually understand how all these really come together. So if you have questions, please feel free to ask. Now, very simply put, right, business analysis is a disciplined approach for introducing and managing change to organizations, whether they are for profit business, government, or non-profit. This is according to the International Institute of Business Analysts, which is the body for all BAs. Now, there are very important points that were picked up during the discussion and during my very brief scenario. The most important thing is there has to be a need. and there has to be change. So whenever those two words happen within an organization, there are people who would naturally just pick up that responsibility. Right. So business analysis basically just talks about whatever change needs to happen, right? Whether it's infrastructure change, whether it's IT change, whether it's product change, whatever change, as long as there's a change or as long as there's a need of something that is missing and needs to come to life, that is what business analysis is, simply put, all about. I didn't want to give you a lot of definitions, so you just make it very clear with the example I gave. That is what business analysis is. So once you identify a need, just like I identified a need in my environment, that need triggered a lot of reactions. And all those things I did to make sure I meet that need is what business analysis is. So that's why I needed to use that scenario so you don't forget. So some of us are already doing business analysis work, even in our office. Some of us are already doing business analysis work in our family. Some of us are already doing business analysis work personally. So business analysis is a very, very tangible and hands-on career. That's why the absence of a BA in a project, we'll see how that impacts, what it is. Now, looking at it in an organization, in an IT space right now, in an IT environment or in a business, there are two sets of people who drive change. One on the left-hand side are, of course, the IT guys. When we call IT, we mean everybody within the technology space within an organization. And number two, on the far right hand, is the business, the owners, those who have custodians of process within the organization. In between those two, once a change is identified, there is somebody in between those two that has both business knowledge and IT knowledge. You need that person to be able to galvanize these two. And we say BA creates a synergy between systems, business process, and people. That's why their role is so important, because, of course, as we go, I'm going to share stories and example where I was in project in the absence of these people, and because the technical guys most times are not interested in business jargons. They don't want to know. Theirs is, tell me to go A, give me A, and I do A. The business is not interested in technical jargons. Why? I mean, ours is to tell you the change we need, and your work is to make sure that change happens. But you see, because these two parties are not so interested in these in each other, there's no middle ground. That is actually one of the reasons why BAs exist. So let's look at what business analysis involves. Basically, it involves working across all levels of an organization. A business analyst is so bad that if you, from the first day you step your feet from the first day you get a job as a BA, you are involved, or you will meet everybody within the organization. So you have to make sure you have a lot of skill sets, which we are going to display later, for you to succeed in this career or in this path. And it's a very, very interesting one. The next is defining strategy. How? So when you answer the question how, like we answered, how do you meet this need, or how do you drive this change? You have to come up with a strategy. So business analysis also involves defining strategies. It also involves creating an enterprise architecture, because it's business interfacing. So you need to come up with just like the architects, before they actually physically build a house, they need to come up with a design of how that house will look like before it's actually built. So you need to come up with that business architecture. How will this change impact the business? Who will be involved? what's in the next 5 years, what will be the impact? So you need to come up with that, what's the org structure? Who are responsible? What's the governance? All of that you need to define in your enterprise architecture. It also involves defining goals and requirements for programs and projects. It involves supporting continuous improvements in technology and processes. It involves gaining insights from data, just like one of us said, using specific techniques. It involves performing tasks to identify the needs of a business. Right. That's why global companies, for example, like Google, you wonder how they come up with products or solutions. They don't wait before needs. They have an R&D, research, and they invest a lot in research and development. Why? They need to identify these needs. They need to use your feedbacks, because all those feedbacks you give when you probably use a product or when you subscribe to a particular service, they collect all those data and they try to improve on whatever service they have. They have to think on how to identify needs within the organization. Part of what we also do is analyze the effect of change and defining success criteria or measures. So you don't just drive change and leave it there. There's always continuous improvement. There's always analyzing that effect, not just now, but in the future within that organization. And of course, BAs are not people who just rush into conclusions. We'll see that as we move on. And also, business analysis involves ensuring new products and services meet business and users' needs. So it's a very interesting career for people who have open minds and people who really, really are change-driven. Like they want to see things happen. They want to be at the middle of it, and they want to be involved in all these activities that I've just listed. So if you have interest in any of this, then you are most likely going to want to move into the business analysis space. Yeah. So let me check if we have any questions, then we will proceed. Okay, let me see. So no questions. Remember, feel free to add your questions as we move forward. So as a career, let's look at how far business analysis have come. Because somebody will say, where has it been? I mean, it looks like a new trend and all that. Yeah, fairly new actually, because before now, we had two sets of people driving change, those in IT and those in business. But of course, over time, we have seen the dangers of not having a BA. So basically, it started roughly from 1999, which is, like we say, it's a fairly new career. Its most salient point was the lack of user involvement and incomplete or changing requirement specifications were the largest contributing factor for projects being challenged or failing. So let me give you just a summary. Now, when you have IT and business driving change, the problem is, first, is IT interested in involving the business in what they do? Is business interested in involving IT in what they do? Typically, if an IT person is working on a project, core IT person, they are not, because of course I've been there, they don't pay attention to user satisfaction. They're not a lot, not as a directing, but the most important thing is their drive is to just push out the product. Their drive is to accomplish that goal of, giving you a solution. So if there's a need, if you meet a typical IT person, you said, there's something wrong with my laptop. The first thing he will say, ask you questions, what happened? Okay, it's fine. Give me the laptop. He fixes the laptop and gives you back. Once he gives you back, he doesn't call you again to say, oh, how are you managing the laptop? Are you still having issues? Is it still going well? Or you might need to change this laptop in the next 10 years because, we're sensing some security issues and all that. Or so the IT person is not interested in all those, in quote, details. And those are one of the reasons they're not interested if, at the end of the project, you're happy or you're fine. It's not theirs is they have developed, they have delivered, and it's fine. That's a traditional way of actually delivering projects. We're going to go into agile and of course the traditional concept very soon. Another factor is change. Core IT guys are not open to changing requirements. So if for example, the worst thing you can do to an core IT person is to say, after telling him about the problem and he's working on fixing it, and the next time you come and say, oh, sorry, something changed. It's like, what? So they're not built or trained to accept regular changes that happens from requirements. That's not, theirs is more on the operation side to deliver on that solution. So really, that's really some of the issues that actually brought about the middleman, who is the business analyst, right? And of course, from there was a report from this Stanges QS report that was published in 1995. These were some of the output of those reports. And those reports were done because a lot of IT projects had failed. They had failed because of these very important issues that, the BAs, very important issues because someone was missing in that middle. The middleman was actually missing. And of course, sometime in 2021, the agile concepts, gained popularity. So right now, everywhere in the IT space, you're hearing about agile. You're hearing about some of the agile tools like Scrum, Kanban, product things around product ownership and the rest of them. Agile was an offshoot of the traditional way of managing projects that triggered agility. So right now we're saying that customer is number one. It is not about delivering solution, which is the traditional way, because the focus then is, let's build and let's make sure these people don't disturb us again. In the agile space, your satisfaction is the customer satisfaction or the business satisfaction is number one, not the solution. The focus is not on the solution. The focus is on the customer. So we're going to go deeper into the concept of agile as we move on. And of course, somewhere in 2003, IIBA was found, which is just like every career has a body that manages, how they operate and how they work. We also have a body in business analysis that actually dictates. We also have what we call the Babok Guide, which is like a business analysis book of knowledge that guides the way we deliver projects. So it's something for those who want to do certification as a business analyst, you will need to contact this body and know more about IIBA and what it offers. Then we have talked about the lean concept, about making sure that you manage waste. Then we have some other agile is now the theme. Traditional ways of managing projects is now something we have left behind. So this is just a flow of how BA, and of course, in the middle of all this is the business analyst, right? Because you need to make sure you are agile in your thoughts. You need to make sure as a BA, you understand the history of where we were and what prompted this conversation and where we're actually going. So it's also good to do some research around IIBA and every other thing around, what guides how we work and how we do what we do. So this is a brief history of where we have come so far. Now, that's history. Today, basically, right? Business analysis has developed, of course, it's now a specialized career, right? It offers the opportunity for organizations to ensure that not only that technology is deployed effectively to support change. It's not about delivering solution, right? But also that relevant options for business change are identified, taking into account a lot of other factors. So while delivering working solution is also very good, it's one of the high points of the Agile Manifesto, but we're going to see how, but the most important thing in this 21st century is to make sure that whatever solution you're delivering, there are, some other factors you need to take into consideration. Is the customer happy? Is it in line with budget or the vision of that project? A lot of other things you need to really think about that the IT guys do not have time to think about. It's not their business whether you know in the next 10 years, what will happen to that ERP? Theirs is to deliver that solution. But it's the job of the BA to make sure that he's delivering the solution based on the requirements of the business, having the business input, and making sure that even after delivering the solution, you do a retrospection, and you have to go back to the business and ask you have to do lessons learned and ask, follow up and know, constantly asking them, are there any issues? What can we do to actually make this better and all that? So it's something that was completely missing in the traditional way of, resolving IT projects. Yeah. So basically, the future is very, very huge for business analysts. In fact, it's like I said before, we'll have time to go to the market to see how the market has reacted to this role. But in the future, we're going to see what we call a lean business analyst, a business analyst that is focused towards waste reduction. We're going to see a more agile driven analyst that makes sure that you apply all the principles of agility in your work. The future, we're going to see business analysts that will more likely align into the IT transformation that's happening in the world around artificial intelligence and all these advanced technologies. So we hope and we look forward to what the future holds for us. So I think after this session, we're going to take a very brief break. So we do some assimilation, and that will be in few minutes. So let's see business analysis or business analyst as a bridge between IT and business. Now, this is now another session for us. Now, having learned about some of the conversations I've had around the role business analysts have, and we have looked at, for example, what business analysis what it involves. And we also know that it's also tilted towards technology, not construction of bridge. No, that you can do PMP for that. But what we're looking right now is basically on the IT environment, right? So we have seen what business analysis involves. We now know that there are people called business analysts whose responsibility is to drive this change. We have seen the history. So the question I have for us is, how can BA or business analysis bridge the gap between systems, process, and people? As usual, I'm going to throw the line open, and please share your thoughts. Like I said, your thoughts are very, very important. So just think about it, right, for a second. So we have said, yeah, they are meant to bridge this gap, but how? The question is how? How does a BA stay in the middle? And how does that work? How in a real sense, like if you say somebody is a middleman, what really happens within that space? How does that happen? Yeah. All right, John, thank you very much. Please go ahead. Please raise your hand, guys.
Okay, thank you very much, Kelechi. Basically, what like you just said, a middleman, the business analyst, the job of that business analyst is to regularly have meetings with stakeholders, the IT people, personnel, people in the IT, and people in the business, constantly seeking meetings, seeking the ideas, getting what is needed and what needs to be done. Is the one that we need to come with time frame, what they need to do, and things that that are lacking, and how they can measure things up and bring things together. Is the one that puts everything together. Is the missing link, like you said, is the one. They are the ones that brings these stakeholders together to ensure that we achieve the desired goal at the end of the day.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much. So any other person, how? Share your thoughts, please. How does business analysis really bridge this gap? John has given us very good points around making sure that he identifies the stakeholders who are involved, hold meetings with them, and ensuring that the goals are achieved. Any other person, how? I really want to hear your thoughts, guys. Like I said, it's business analysis is an interactive session. It's never. I want to hear your thoughts. Jules, Jerry, Ken, Harmony, Hakeem, Lovett, please share your thoughts. How can business analysis, haven't had what they do, how can they really bridge that gap? Go ahead, Chori.
Thank you, Kelechi. So I think as a business analyst or business analysis as a profession, looks at the internal systems, right? What is obtainable, ranging from the IT architecture, like what is currently in place, and finds problems that can be solved or how it can be solved, right? Then, as an intermediary between the business and the IT guys, right?
Okay.
So he tries to find out what can be done or what is it that is not already being done in the company, initiate ideas, because as a business analyst, you have both the business acumen and the IT, more of IT skills too. So you try to understand the current processes, what can be done to improve it in order to kind of generate more value for the business and people.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so thank you very much. Chori, thank you very much. John, any other person? No. I need more hands. Ken, I think Ken is. I need more hands. I need you guys to brainstorm because for me, that's what this session is all about. Like we have said, there are no wrong answers. There are no right answers. We just want to hear your thoughts. So I'll give us probably more few seconds. Anybody wants to add up? Okay. So thank you, John, and thank you for all those and thank you, Churi. Now, and I mean, the 2 points were very, very important and very valid, right? We have seen that the BA sits in between the IT and business, right? I have a very small slide here that basically just, paints a picture. And I also share my experience, in this slide. Now, you can see that my far left, it is an IT person, but this IT guy is thinking about business stuff. You know how difficult it is for IT guys to think about business. They don't. It's a difficult thing for them. Now, this is CFO. CFO is a chief finance officer or a finance manager or anybody within the finance team or business team. The finance manager is thinking about IT. That's that's like very, very. I mean, the finance manager has enough about business strategy, finance strategy, how to drive growth within, how to use finance figures to push for growth. Their problem is not they are not interested, or it's not something they want to keep in their mind for too long. So these are two extreme cases, right? Now I have a scenario on that. The CEO has said that we need to upgrade our ERP to comply with IAS 16. Of course, we don't understand. IAS is International Accounting Standards. It's like a law that you need to comply with. And the IT guy has said, "What is IAS 16?" Just like as I just said, IAS 16. Many of us have asked, "What is IAS 16? Why do we need to upgrade?" Those are the questions that the IT guy will push forward to the CFO. The CFO, of course, in his mind is, we want to upgrade to comply. If you're asking me why, that's the why, right? And it's obvious that the IT guy doesn't understand where he's going. And the CEO, as the CFO, right? I say CEO, I said, or CEO, basically, we're having a three conversation. I said, can we get someone who can understand the impact this will have on the ERP? Because obviously, the two guys are thinking, the two guys, they have needs, they have valid points. The CFO has a need, the IT guy has a need. Of course, the IT guy suggests we need the BA. This is a typical point of what happened in every organization, even where I work currently. If there, for example, we discovered that we had, there were a lot of, so one of my projects, there were a lot of websites, the company took over some branches, or acquired some companies. So there were a lot of websites. So if you want to access the company, there are different websites to access one company. And of course, for control, for security, it wasn't right. So the conversation is, how do we bring all the websites together so that somebody who goes online and enters our company name can see only one website? Because we are not gaining any value having different websites and paying cost of website hosting for the same company but different websites. So how do we bring all these websites together, and how do we have one? Of course, that's an example of what we are also discussing. Now, that's where the BA comes in. And answering that question, the BA understands, is the only person who understands where the IT is coming from. He also understands where the CFO is coming from. So he can align those two parts. Now, in real life, what will he do? He will, just like John said, he will call a meeting to understand the need. Hopefully, he's going to have a meeting with the CFO to gather some requirements. We call them requirements. So, okay, he will ask certain questions like, your current situation, what is happening currently with the ERP? So you don't just, we want a new ERP. You start, no. The BA would sit down with the CFO and understand two things we call the assist and the to be. So the first thing is, assist means currently, your current state, what's happening with the ERP. So the CFO, of course, he will have some questionnaires, or if we go into the agile environment, we can say user stories or use cases. But I don't want to bore you with that. We'll go in deeper into that as we move on. But the most important thing is, he's going to sit with the CFO and answer certain questions like, currently, what are you using? He will say the ERP. So currently, what are the issues with the ERP? Well, the CFO might say it's too slow. We're having security concerns. It's outdated. Somebody put a password and left the company and refused to. We cannot back up. A lot of issues. The job of the BA is to document these issues as what we call the current state of that ERP. Now, and of course, there are documents that he used to drive these conversations, right? There's a business case that will come out of that. Now, the next question will be, for the future state, what are you really looking out for? Of course, as a CFO, I would like the system to do this. he documents that. After that conversation, he's going to go and meet the IT team and say, look, these are the requirements from the CFO. IT, what are your thoughts? Based on the conversations, right? So two things will happen. What are the options? One, do we need to upgrade the current ERP? Two, do we need to change it? If we need to change it, what is involved? Three, what will be the impact on the business? Four, so, so from just changing an ERP, you have seen where the conversations have gone. And of course, there'll be a visibility study, there'll be a process mapping, there'll be a lot of things that will be involved before they take these details to, of course, there'll be a conversation where they take this detail to the stakeholders that will bring this project to life. That the BA and CFO and IT says we need this change. There are still stakeholders that will determine if this change will happen. So you need to go and drive this conversation, justify why we need to do certain things. Why don't we just upgrade it? Why do we need to buy a new one? So these are questions that top management, those who have the authority to sign off, will ask. It is job of BA to also interpret on both sides. So this is a typical scenario where the BA sits between the IT and the business. And really, it doesn't just go there. When the system goes live, of course, the BA will make sure that the users are very well informed, they are trained, they will support things like testing. There has to be some testing on the system, there has to be some cutover activities, there has to be a go live strategy, there has to be a data migration. A lot of things are involved. Of course, the BA would, at this point, if there's a project manager, there has to be a project plan that they'll have to follow to make sure this project is implemented. And after the project has gone live, the BA has to be involved to do what we call solution assessment, retrospection, lessons learned, and of course, follow through to make sure that everything is going as planned. So that's another discussion. That's the essence of this class. The essence of this class is to take us through a journey of what I've just described now to the end. Is to take us through a journey, give us real experience on these documents, step-by-step process on what is involved, who is involved, how do you do stakeholder analysis, how do you map activities, how do you identify assets, how do you do basically a lot more things that I've said, and we'll take it up from there. Now, I think we'll stop here and we'll take a break because we have been on a very long stretch. So we're going to take a 10 minutes break so you can stretch your legs, take water. So at exactly 2, that should be 30, we should be back. When we come back, we're going to be looking at, there are certain careers that are very similar. And when we go to the job market, we're going to see how people react. There are people we call the business analysts. There are people who call the data analysts. There are people who call IT analysts. So when you go online, and there are also a lot of analysts out there, but these three are the most prominent ones. So you need to know, where does the BA sit in these roles? And that's what we're going to look at, because for some of us that would, if you're interested in actually getting a space, so if you're interested in being a BA, you have seen that there are a lot of things you need to get involved in, and we're going to see that role. So in the next 10 minutes, we're going to be back. When we come back, we're going to look at these relationships. We're going to we're going to visit the market to see how business analysis is faring. We're going to look at the concept of agile, and hopefully we might not be able to finish all that today anyways, because of course, but we're going to see how far, and hopefully next week we're going to continue with the conversations. So this is 10 minutes break for us. Thank you very much, guys, for joining. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat and we'll pick it up from there. Thank you.
I know you don't feel like doing it, but do it anyway. It's you versus you. And the next level awaits. It's on you. You must take the first step.